Hello everybody, welcome back to our captivating story. Our boy pedo Tristan has just returned home from work and here we go. But the high point of the day was probably when Tristan finally returned from work. She knew he was there from the creaking of the door. She would rush into the living room to greet him and, all joyous, she would throw herself at him, timidly at first, then with more enthusiasm over the weeks. Okay, Tristan is not looking for her parents anymore. He is full-on kidnapped. Wait, what'd I just do? Return. Okay. Okay. She loved being carried on his shoulders to mimic an airplane and fly through the flat until they crashed on the bed laughing. Playing together was so much fun. With her friends, she could give life to her characters more easily. Her favorites, playing Mummy and Daddy. Amber played the role of the mother, always occupied by the well-being of her child, a PVC doll with dead eyes, supposed to embody an adorable little baby. She had to wash him, change him, cuddle him, and give him his bottle. Tristan had the role of the father. He had to read the newspaper in the kitchen while waiting for his wife to cook him a good meal, a role which hardly got him involved, but he was more than satisfied with that. Amber took her task very seriously. She had the lead role after all. Therefore, she served her imaginary husband plastic fries and fruits with a bossy pout. He appreciated the gesture. However, the real meal was left to Tristan once the game ended. A meal with the little girl took as an opportunity to deliver the rest of her fabulous adventures. Tristan only had to listen to her with a smile on his face before requiring her to go to the bathroom to wash up and brush her teeth. Amber always grumbled at bath time, but her sexless Barbie mermaid quickly helped her to forget the inconvenience. Don't forget gender equality, folks. More than once, she slyly waited for the 30-year-old man to come close enough for her to shoot him with a fish-shaped water gun. Innocent laughter would ensue. So now, he's intruding the bathroom during bath times. This is even more pedo-y. Then the little girl had to be tucked into her big princess bed while he was telling her a story, usually a fairy tale. Also, by the way, Tristan wore that scarf every season, and in the house. He's fucking gay. In those moments, she blinked more and more slowly, looking up at him with a touching expression. Tristan would almost melt from cuteness. He was careful not to close the door all the way. The corridor's lights had to hunt monsters which could disturb Amber's sleep. It was a specific request from her. She was fearful. The man had to protect her from ghosts at the slightest shout. That was his promise to her. Before going to sleep, where'd the music just go? Shit, I didn't read that. Fuck, whatever. The way they organized their weekend allowed for a more festive time. It was time for outings. It was out of the question for Amber to get bored, to stay shut in that tight and bleak flat again. She had a change of scenery, so they went to lively places. The pool, the amusement park, the ice rink, the movie theater, restaurant. She had to try everything. Every week was a different universe. Running along at a brisk pace with her impeccably polished shoes, the little girl jumped from ride to ride with hanging on Tristan's arm. It warmed his heart to see her having innocent fun. In front of a smile that big, he could only imitate the girl's good mood despite himself. Every time when she would inevitably ask for dessert, a pancake or an ice cream, he would watch her spreading whipped cream on her face out of the corner of his eye. The temptation to lick the daub of ice cream from the tip of her nose or the corner of her lips was nearly too much. Okay, if you're licking whipped cream off the abducted girl's nose, that is too far, my boy Tristan. Okay, such a display, both childish and unhealthy, tickled his darkest thoughts, his most pitiful thoughts. Okay, so now he knows he's in the wrong. However hard he rejected them with all his strength, his hands would become sweaty and trembling. His hands confessed his torment, but Amber couldn't understand. Amber was a little girl, only a little girl. Okay, this is turning into a rape scene so quick. Fuck. The months flew by at a breakneck speed. Tristan refused to admit it, but his young friend was growing up. He wanted to ignore the fact, turn a blind eye, but the unstoppable passage of time had already started to do his work. Amber was going through a strange crisis. That evening, she was particularly angry and proclaimed vigorously,
"I don't want to be a child anymore.
"How so?"
I want to become older.
"But you have plenty of time for this, Amber."
I want to become older faster. That way I can do more things."
The 30-year-old man sighed. He obviously did not know how to answer such assertions. He had never had a child, and he was not very good at calming down revolts regardless. Taken aback, he left the girl to sulk in the living room to go take a long, relaxing shower. While he was soothing his worries in the rush of hot water, she displayed an angry pout.
"That's not fair. I wish I could be older right now if I only had a model." I wonder what Tristan's wife looked like, for example. I'm sure she was she was a kind person, but he never wants to talk about it. He avoids the subject. It could be that he is hiding something from me.
Intrigued, Amber took advantage of his absence to open a drawer she had never touched before. Inside, under the telephone directory, was a big leather notebook. Convinced she had found a treasure, she grabbed it and opened it. It was a photo album. Spread on the pages were bright smiles and tender gestures. Ooh. Browsing through the pictures, the little girl discovered her guardian, young and dashing in the arms of a coquettish young lady. Dressed soberly and tastefully, she was strolling along the seashore with a shawl on her shoulders in a park holding an ice cream. But what caught her eye was a very specific picture that towered in the center of the album. Tristan, wearing a suit, was leading his lover out of a church with clumsy footsteps under a shower of petals. She looked so happy, so fulfilled in her large, refined white dress that Amber was stupefied. All the more so as the bride looked exactly like her. Dun dun dun!
She's so pretty.
What are you looking at? Tristan's sudden appearance made her jump so much that she dropped the forbidden object. His gaze darkened immediately. You searched through the closet to see that my wife looked like, didn't you? She answered in a shaky voice, guiltily.
Yes. Are you going to scold me, Daddy?
You shouldn't say daddy, I'm sorry. Of course not. I just would have preferred that you didn't see it.
Why? Why don't you ever talk about it? I want to know.
He sighed, appearing upset as he looked into those begging eyes that he'd never been able to resist for long. Reluctantly, he sat down on the couch and told her that he had met the one he thought would be the love of his life, and related all that he had gone through together. Amber listened with wide-eyed attention. She liked that story very much. Tristan seemed to briefly get younger as he evoked the past, describing how head over heels he had been for her and how happy she had made him. Their peaceful and ordinary everyday life was something that little girl envied. Caught up in the tale, she couldn't help but pressure him.
And then, what happened?
Until the light shining in the man's green eyes brutally vanished. And then she left.
Where to?
Far away to a place I can't reach her anymore. She obviously died, Tristan spit it out. Every day I pray that she'll somehow hear me, that she'll wake up, that she'll remember me. I don't know if she'll ever emerge from that dream that's kept keeping her captive. Okay, so this has turned into Inception now. I'm intrigued.
Is she dead?
Sometimes it feels like it, but no, she's still alive. Just in a different world from mine. She's in a Minecraft world. If I could have joined her, I would have. I would have sacrificed everything for her, and today she's forgotten me. Forever.
That's sad.
Tristan sighed again, head down as a heavy, crushing silence came between them. Amber stared at the photo, bewitched by the woman's smile. Deep down in her heart, she had an odd thought. If I was older, I could replace Tristan's wife, and he wouldn't be sad anymore. Oh, it's creepy again. That night, she left a devastated Tristan lying as immobile as a statue on the sofa. Slipping between the covers of her cozy bedsheet, she felt hopeless. If only I was older. The thought took root more and more violently in her mind to the point where it became an emergency. She had to become Tristan Mallory's wife. Fuck, this is so creepy. No. A new routine seized little Amber. It was now a question for her to stay a little girl. She wanted to grow as suddenly as a butterfly, a beauty cursed by its ephemeral life. Thus began a kind of adolescence. She no longer woke up in the morning when Tristan went to work. She waited until midday to surface and took her meal at that time. Tristan did not call her at the usual hour anymore either. He knew that she would not be in the mood. After a brief meal, the young girl watched television, leafing through the magazines bought with the pocket money her benefactor gave her. Her afternoon fluctuated between American TV shows and beauty tips. Between the pages of the magazine, she learned how to become pretty to seduce men, an idea she liked a lot. She wanted Tristan to look at her, to take an interest in her in a different way. Fuck, it's getting so weird. To be seen as a woman, she had to act like as a woman, but she absolutely did not do this. These magazines, which were overflowing with tips of all kinds, seemed like an El Dorado to her. Through the articles, she learned how to act, how to become a true lady. It wasn't very complicated. She only had to keep a close watch on all of her gestures, to constantly control her every movement so as to convey the best image possible. She had to track down all human weaknesses, every inconveniences, and walk with a relaxed and self-assured air, but not too much or she would frighten. She would crush. Amber nodded as she was reading what the editor wrote. Of course, she had to be open and smiling, but not so much that she came across as exuberant. She had to laugh often, but not too loudly, as it was what hysterics would do. She had to be independent and take initiative, but only if the situation lent itself to it, and in a non-threatening way. She had to show herself as to be as natural as possible while enhancing all of her advantages with a note of makeup. Amber understood the necessity of buying some in order to become a true woman. She had to dress in a feminine way to demonstrate her worth while being sober enough so as not attract unwanted attention. And then she was advised to learn to listen to men, not to talk too much, which would be selfish, be discreet but present, available as soon as he needed without really showing it to him. As she turned page after page, the young girl felt a pressing urge to spend money on all the products shown on the advertisements, as praised by the editors. After all, she would need them in order to seduce the brave Tristan. How could she have the slightest chance without cheating a little? Further down, a revealing psychological test claimed that Amber would gain more affection by acting like a fragile little girl. Plus, she was too vulnerable, too frail. She couldn't manage anything worthy without some help. She had to find validation in his eyes, validation of her very existence. We're gonna stop it right there. This is heating up. We don't know if it's a rape thing or she got daddy syndrome. What's that called? Like, I don't remember, some sort of syndrome. This is getting interesting though, so we'll tune in next time for this captivating anime story.